Welcome back to Roar Career Talk, the podcast where we skip the fluff and talk about what actually matters in real careers. Today's guest is Gabriela Gutierrez, and her story is one of resilience and remarkable growth across borders. Gabriela has lived and worked in 7 cities across 4 countries. She's an MBA graduate from Spain, holds a postgraduate degree from Canada, and now is ranked number 11 project management creator in the United States. If you ever felt like you're starting over in a new place, questioned whether you belong or not, this conversation is for you. Gabriela, welcome to our Career Talk. I'm thrilled to have you here.
Thank you, Violeta. It's such an amazing experience to be here. I'm so excited to chat with you and to deliver value to you and your audience.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So, yeah, let's start from the beginning, right? So, I know that for the past year, you've been living in the United States, right? So, you moved from Canada to the US. But let's come back to Canada, right? And can you please, dive deep into your story? Like, what brought you to Canada and what were your first impressions when you arrived as a new immigrant?
Amazing. So I actually have a beautiful story of how I ended up in Canada. When I was a teenager, my dream was to move to Canada. I was only like 13 or 14 years old. And for some reason, I had that dream of, I want to move to Canada. Everyone like in my country, like dreams about if they want to go, and live abroad, they dream about going to the US or going to Europe or like, but for some reason, I had this interest in Canada. At that time, when I was a teenager, I spoke with my parents and I said, hey, I would like to go to Canada maybe for my last year in high school and do like an exchange program and learn French, etc. But my parents said, you know what, you're too young. Let's wait. And maybe we can support you when you go to university, when you go for your master's, etc. So I ended up studying my undergraduate in Honduras, where I was born. I then moved to Spain because I won a scholarship to go and study my MBA. But Canada, Violeta, was like still in my mind. I was like, oh my goodness, like I don't know why, but I still have Canada in my mind. And so I was living in Spain. I moved back to my country. Then I went to Spain again for another master's, and Canada was still in my mind. I ended up meeting someone in Spain. We became boyfriend, girlfriend. Eventually, we got engaged, and I asked him, hey, do you want to move to Canada? And he was like, no, I don't want to move to Canada. I want to stay here in Europe. But I managed to convince him, and we ended up getting married when we agreed to get married. And then like 5 months later, we ended up moving to Canada. I moved there as an international student. And my first impressions was like, oh my goodness, this is like my dream. It's an amazing country. I felt welcomed. And my first actually like 18 months were like a complete dream where I was, going to college, meeting locals, meeting other immigrants. So my first impressions were like, wow, this is my dream come true. And I'm just so blessed and happy that I'm here. But I didn't know like what else to expect. Besides, like at that point, I was just like, I'm going to enjoy my 18 months as an international student.
Right. Like you were like, my dream came true. I'm in Canada,
Exactly.
finally, right? So like check mark.
Check
This
mark,
check
yes.
mark. Yeah. No,
Yes.
that's very beautiful story here, story of like that you never gave up on your dream, which is like confirms that you're that like resilient person and you're staying consistent, right? So which is amazing. And all like I was while I was listening to your story, I was thinking also about the my story, how I came to Canada too, and I realized that they are super similar, right? Because I was also, studying in France, like in Europe, in France, for the exchange program. So I finished my bachelor degree, and then I moved as a postgrad student, international student to Canada as an immigrant. So I totally on the same page with you, like where, at first you feel like welcome, everything is great. You're just like, studying, hanging out with friends, right? So there like not that much responsibility for the immigrant as, for example, like looking for the job, right? Because you were just like studying. So yeah, I find like some similarities in our stories. So it's really cool that we can share this. But except the fact that you felt like super great, you felt welcome. What were some of the like challenges that you faced as an immigrant trying to build your career, right? So probably you didn't have like the network, or maybe you had, right? So maybe some language barriers or like cultural differences.
I think to me, so when I was studying as an international student, what I ended up doing, I was working part-time. So I was working in retail, working in a low, like a minimum wage kind of job. And my goal was, okay, after I graduate, I expect to, get a better job. And the first thing I noticed at that point was, okay, like everyone talks about Canadian experience. You need to have Canadian experience. And I'm like, okay, I understand. I am in Canada and people are looking for that Canadian experience, at the level maybe that, when I was in my home country, I had a managerial position. I have, my MBA from Spain. I have like, so if you think about my education and my experience from abroad, it's like a very, very rich experience. But of course, when I was working as an international student, just part time, it was okay for me. I was like, okay, I'm just doing this because I need some extra money.
Yeah.
And my husband was working full time while I was working going to college in Canada. But then when the time came, it was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Like, I want this job. I don't want to stay in retail because that was just like a survival job, for the moment. And also to get, to get to practice my English, as a second language, and to get to know how people like interact in a workplace, even though it's a different environment, like at retail compared to what I was looking for. But I think it gave me a lot of experience. So my first challenge was, you need Canadian experience for this type of roles that you're looking for. And I think the great thing for me that worked out was like I was able to, in the time that I was working in retail, even though I knew it was something temporary, like I built great relationships with people, and they were like amazing references for me. So when I applied now to an office job, coming from retail now to an office environment, completely different, an agency that actually works for the government of Alberta. Back then I was working in Calgary, Alberta, and I was applying for this position that works for the government, and they do have like high standards and things, and I was like, okay, I want to work there. And I think I built something at the time that I was doing something temporary. I also was working on, okay, I'm going to give my best. This is not the job that I dream about having, but I'm going to show up as the best as I can, even in a, wherever you are. Like, I mean, if you have that mindset of give it your best, build the relationships,
Right.
let them see who you are, what your values are, what your potential is, like even wherever you are. I think because whatever experience you're building early as an immigrant in your journey, like it will help you. It will be like a stepping stone. So when the time came for me to graduate and then look for a better job, those references that I had from my previous roles in retail, they were like some sort of like that Canadian experience, even though it was a completely like, I mean, it was a big step in terms of a job
Right.
type of job and the pay. The references, gave me
Amazing.
something that I really needed and that my other employer valued.
Yeah, yeah, super, super great insight here, I think, like for everyone who's listening and maybe on these like survival jobs while studying, right? Because I've been in the same boat too,
Yes.
studying, working part-time, right? Doing all this stuff. And it's very important to get that Canadian experience, right? Although probably you've been like a manager in your home country, right? But still, like here, it values, right? If you even have that like survival job, right? It still counts as a experience, Canadian experience, right? And then you can use your like transferable skills, right? For example, like customer service or just like communication, collaboration with others, like teamwork, right? So it's very important insight from what you, Gabriela, mentioned is that like keep building this relationship no matter what job you have now. Treat it as your like main job now, right? Do your best, give yourself best, show what person you are, and then when the right time comes and you need their like references or recommendations, you can ask them for that, right? And then they will
Exactly.
remember, oh, this was, I remember that person, right? She or he was like super hardworking, nice, collaborative. So why not? I will provide them like the nice, reference.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's
Exactly.
very, very important here. Really great that you mentioned this. So yeah, like between these like survival jobs, then you've been like transferring to various jobs, and you've been for around like more than 5 years with Scotiabank, right?
Yes.
So what was there like some specific moment when you felt okay, I'm starting to make it here, right? So I'm
Yes.
working in a big bank, like I love the, environment where I work, for example, right? So what contributed to that turning point when you start feeling it like, okay, I'm something here, I'm really,
Yes. So that's an amazing question. Like I think like when I got that job at the bank, it was like my dream job. Like you're gonna hear in my story that I am a dreamer. Like I have a dream and I'm a doer. Like I dream and I make it a plan and I accomplish it. Like I do my very best, and I hope the dreamers and doers who are listening to this, like they can relate and they can get inspired as well. So when I got that job at the bank, I felt like $1 million. Like honestly, I was like, oh my goodness, like I made
amazing.
it.
Yeah.
Because before that time, Violeta, before working at the bank, I was underemployed. Like I underemployed means you are working at a level that is below your education, below your qualifications, below the salary range that you should be earning, right? So I, up until that point, I was underemployed. And when I finally made it, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is amazing. And I like remember the day. I even remember what I was wearing the day I entered that building that first day, and it
Wow.
felt amazing. I spent the next 5 years working there, and every day, like I felt, oh my gosh, I am leaving. I'm living the dream.
Nice.
And I think it eventually got to a point where then I got a job there as a senior business analyst at the bank, and I then eventually moved into a manager role, and that was like another milestone. And I think like the key of my story, and if I can share like with the audience, is about my story is not about, oh, I made it from going from retail to working at a bank as a manager. No, like my story is about one stepping stone, the other one step, the other, and I'm building that. And I think like sometimes we want, oh, we wish we can go from here to here, but
Yeah.
there's a big gap. And I think that as long as you're doing the right things, you have the right mindset, and you know that that you're capable of achieving what you accomplished, before immigrating to a new country. Don't feel that you have to start all over again. Just think about what is the next strategic step that you need to take. That is my story. One
Beautiful.
strategic step, the other, the next one, the other. And then like I was building that until I got to that point where I felt like, yeah, I made it. Like,
Yeah.
and I was super proud of that.
Of course you should, right? Because you like, as you mentioned, you were building it like step by step, stone by stone, right? So it never happened overnight. There is no
Yes.
overnight success, right? It
Yes.
was like all the roads were leading you to this one place where you live
Yes.
to the fullest, where you work to the fullest, right? And where you enjoyed your time. And that brought you like so many like, connections, experience, which is fantastic, which is amazing part of your life. So yeah, really happy to hear and see this sparkle in your eyes when you're talking
Thank you.
about your, past workplace. So yeah, it's really great because like let's talk also about like some of the mistakes, right? So what were some of the mistakes you made early in your career journey that taught you the most, right? So maybe something you would do differently. Kind of like
Okay.
looking back in your career, right, when you started, or maybe you started to like you wanted to start doing something like sooner, right, and you were just like waiting. So what were these mistakes that if
Yes.
someone like if some of our listeners are in that position now, they would avoid that, right, or they could
Yes.
learn from it?
So I would say two things. Number one, not looking for mentors earlier in my journey. And number two, it would be relying on free resources only. So let me expand on the first one and then the second one. So in the first one, mentors, like I'm a big advocate of and a big promoter of mentorship, because the moment I started, being very intentional about me becoming a mentor to others based on my own journey and my experience, and me seeking out, to like, where can I find a mentor, where can I find someone from whom I can learn, maybe someone who has been in my shoes, similar to you, like you have experienced what I have experienced. Maybe like, you would be a great candidate to help people, and I know that you are, helping people who are, maybe two or like a little bit in that want to achieve what you have but don't have it yet. So I think like my mistake was not not relying on mentorship. I mean, not having that mindset of, okay, I need to look for someone so
Yeah.
that they can mentor me and I can learn from them. I did overcame that, and I actually became like a, like promoter of mentorship, and now it's like my
Nice.
thing.
Hmm.
So I think that led me to now become, eventually because of that experience of noticing that was my own mistake, I was like, I'm going to do something about it. And when I was working at the bank, I started, I became the director of a mentorship program,
Wow.
which mainly supported and helped people who were immigrants or first generation. And so I made it my mission to
Hmm.
help, because I knew that I would have advanced faster if I had a mentor. So
Right.
now I was like, okay, I'm going to help others because I don't want them to experience that. I want them to move faster, because I know that when you find, like Violeta, like a, a better job, a higher salary, you're increasing the quality of your life, the quality of the life of the people you love, and in the way, it's not just a job. It gives you much more. So
Of
I
course.
because I know that it's so important for others, I'm like, okay, like that's why I have been so open and in being a
Hmm.
mentor, in finding mentors, because I know we can help out each other
Yeah.
so that we can, get to that next level.
Love it. Love it, Gabriela.
And I think the other piece would be
Hmm.
relying on free resources. I think, I was in Canada, and there's a lot of, like, you can go to agencies and they can give you,
Hmm.
like review your resume, or
Yeah.
give you tips. And for the most part, I would say I am sure that there's great organizations that can help you with that. I can help, I mean, people, immigrants, etc. But for the most part, I didn't really found, like the help I needed. Some people in those positions, they are not immigrants. They
Hmm.
don't look like you and I. They have not looked for, like that. They cannot relate. They haven't
Right.
walked the path.
Hmm.
So it's, even if they want to do their best, they're not the best equipped to help immigrants. I mean, I'm sure there's great people and they do a great job, but for the most part, in my situation, I didn't find the best support or the best. Like, I think
Hmm.
my mistake was relying on those free things available to me and not investing at that point in, a course, or maybe paying to go to an event where I could meet people like, like you, people like in my, like people from whom I can learn, etc.
Right.
Or like hiring a coach, or even like paying for, like, like, I think, like, don't rely on those free things. The way I look at it, and for the audience, maybe this can help understand, like with an analogy. So if I want to go and have fun to a park, I can go to the parks that I have in my neighborhood, like I can
Hmm.
go to many ones, and that's fun. I'm not paying anything except for maybe if, my energy of walking, or if I'm driving the gas on
Right.
my car.
Hmm.
So yeah, I can do that. It's free. But if I want the next level, I want to go to Disneyland. If I
Hmm.
want to go to Disneyland, I have to pay. Like,
Of
I have
course.
to invest. So
Unfortunately.
so think about that. So to anyone hearing this, like, if you want Disneyland, you have to pay. You
Hmm.
have to invest. If you want the free stuff, you're gonna go to the park in your neighborhood, and it's a completely different story. It's a completely different experience. So my message to the audience is, like, look for ways that you can invest in yourself, because you are the best investment. Like,
Hmm.
for you, what you invest in yourself will give you the biggest ROI. So look for courses, look for events, look for coaching, look for whatever, like, helps you go to that next level. Don't stay just in the park in your neighborhood. Go to Disneyland.
I love it. I absolutely love this analogy, and I think it describes, your practical tips. And I absolutely love that they are super, super practical, right? So first, like, go and find your mentor that fits for you, right? It's like a good mentor. It's like a good therapist. Like, you need them.
Yes.
You need them to,
Yes.
thrive in this life. You absolutely
Yes.
need this person, because like when something is like wrong with our health, right, we go to the doctor, right? But when something feel wrong with our like immigration journey or career journey, right, we try to find this like free resources, we try to ask like ChatGPT or other things, right, like free stuff. But they want, like, they might work, right, but it will take for you like maybe years to realize
Yes.
like what's working, what's not. Whether when you are like hiring, a mentor, working with a mentor, you collaborate, right? So they probably the people, as Gabriela mentioned, right, that already been in your shoes and
Exactly.
already like succeeded in this path. So why not to take this shortcut, right, to your success and hire the mentor, or like, get their like consultations or services. So this is really, really amazing advice here. And I wish also early in my career I knew that, right? When I landed in Canada, I think the first thing what I would do is to hire a mentor, career
Yes.
coach, to know exactly like, how to move forward, and not spending
Yes.
just like months, years just in browsing, okay, what's for me, what's not, how it's working here or not.
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, and
And I think in terms of mentors, like there's mentors, like I mean, there's coaches, there's mentors, there's many, many sort of like different people that can help you. And I think like in mentors, you can find, mentors in your own organization. And
yeah,
okay, who can guide me? And they're not going to charge you. I mean, there's of course like paid services, but there's also like free ones. But I think it's about learning to find who's the right mentor for you, like, who's gonna help you, to go to that next level. And I think there's like different types of mentors. I'm actually like building right now something for, super affordable for people to learn, how to become a better mentee, how to find mentors, how to get out the most out of this, because I think we need that. Like people need that because mentors are a game changer in everyone's career. And I love what you said about it's why not take the shortcut? I mean, people can help you, or like a resource, or a course, or a certification. Like, there's things that can help you and accelerate your journey. So don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to invest in yourself because at the end of the day, like when you get to that job, you will feel like $1,000,000, like I felt, when I entered the bank, you will feel
right.
that and you won't regret it. Like everything you do and invest in yourself is totally worth it.
Absolutely. This is the most like, stable investment, right? Of course,
Yes.
there are like stocks, Bitcoin, all this stuff, cryptocurrency, but when you invest in yourself, this is the best ROI you would get when you invest in yourself, right? So this for sure will work. So yeah, I really appreciate this advice. And we've been like talking also a little bit about the networking, right? Building the connections. So how did you approach like networking and building these real connections with people when you land in a new country, when you're an immigrant, when you don't know anyone, right? So how to start building this like circle, right? Maybe like any tips about the for the strategy or the mindset.
Yes. So I would say like start by building like a network with the things you already enjoy doing. Like maybe for example, like you have moved to a new country and maybe you like a particular sport, or maybe you have, maybe you go to church, or maybe you like to read books. So think about like I think for anyone like starting like new, like okay, I would go to a library and I would see okay, like who sits in the library, who's looking for books and things, and maybe like how to start a conversation. Like if you feel like, you know, I think there's people when you see them that they seem approachable and
Yeah,
they smile you back, or just be. I think at the end of the day, we're just humans. And I feel
yeah.
like people are sometimes are intimidating by just like, oh, how do I like I feel like I want to talk to that person, but I don't know. But
Mhm.
go ahead and do that. Like there's people want to help out, or people want to meet you, or people want to help you, but they don't know until like you let them know. So just say hi. Like so for example, if you're like brand new in a country, go to a library and sit there, read a book, see who's there, who hangs out there regularly. Maybe they live very close by, and maybe you can help each other and get to know each other and be that person to to guide you, to support you, etc.
Yeah.
And I would say like so yeah, if you like a sport, you can go and okay, you like basketball, go and see who plays basketball, and then start talking to people. And I
Mhm.
think like one of the greatest things, like you can do this anywhere, right? And everywhere you go, a professional setting, a community kind of thing. But the key is show up, like you are, like authentically show up, like warmly and open. And I think like have like some sort of like an elevator pitch. And I think like people can look online, like there's a ton of resources on how to
Yeah.
build an elevator pitch. And you can have one for yeah, for when you're meeting people in a social setting, or for
Mhm.
meeting people that maybe might have a professional connection that that can help you. I think when you can, in a very short um in very like in short sentences, you can like share who you are, why are you here, what are your interests. Like it's easy for people to see, oh, like I'm actually like interested in getting to know you a little bit more, or tell me more about your story, or hey, you know what, I can, just based on what you have shared, I know someone that I can connect you with. I know someone you can meet. So I think it's about going out there. So in summary, it would be go out there, see what things you already like to do and environments that you would like to go to, and talk to people and just show up as you are and show up with your story, something that interesting that that might spark that interest in that other people of wanting to
Right.
let you know to know you and to be of value to them, and let them be of value to you too, because at the end of the day it's about what you give, and also what can you gain out of a new relationship.
Right, right. Love it. Absolutely. Yeah, it's super valuable advice here because, like, especially you mentioned, like, go and show up, right? So go different places like church, library, community centers. I know they're super
Exactly.
popular in Canada and US, and community center actually was one of my first places where I came, right? And
Yes.
I took, like, I don't remember what, like Pilates or like yoga classes, and this is how I met like new people.
Yes.
Basically just like taking, like, doing what I love and then connecting with others. So it wasn't online, it was like face to face, it was
Yes.
intimidating, but I still like also made this like first step, right? Because I needed that. Like, I felt lonely in a new country. I came with like no friends, no parents, nothing. So no family. It was just me. So yeah, just leave your house, go out there, meet
Yes.
with people, introduce yourself, and even if you receive like couple of rejections, don't stop. Just keep pushing, and absolutely, I'm sure that your circle is also looking for you, as well as you're looking for your circle, for your community, your people also out there. So yeah, and it's summer coming. I know, I especially see on the Facebook there are a lot of like free events in the park.
Yes.
Some like sport events, basketball, like yoga classes. So if you're into that, yeah, you can also look for in the different like Facebook groups or even the apps. So yeah, just like it's very very important to build that like networking circle. So I totally agree with you. And yeah, so since we are immigrants, right? We have like different backgrounds. And Gabriela, have you ever like struggled with the imposter syndrome, that you're like not enough or you're not belong because of your immigrant background, right? And if yes, how did you work through that?
Okay. So I think here maybe I might be the unpopular opinion, because in reality, like, imposter who? Like, I have to be honest, like, I think like maybe like in some instances I might felt like, oh my gosh, am I really here, or like this, like that. But for the most part, I am super confident in who I am, in my values and worth as a person and as a professional. I have not experienced,
Love
a
it.
lot of imposter syndrome. And I think there's something out there that I actually like. It's my opinion that I don't like it, where people say, fake it until you make it. And that's how you make imposters. That's how you make imposters. It's like, to me, my philosophy, I mean, I respect what everyone feels, right? But to me, it's about build it until you make it. So build something, build your mindset, build your skills, build this, build that, and then you will make it. That way you won't. That's my secret to not feeling an imposter, because in every step that I have taken, in every part of my journey, I have felt super confident in who I am, in what I can achieve, in and I think it's key. And to be honest, Violetta, like, people who have hired me, they have told me, like, I one of the things why I hired you is your confidence. Because when
Nice.
you are confident, you can communicate, you can engage people, because they can see how my confidence can translate into results for their teams, for their work, for everything. So, like, my message here is build it until you make it. Don't fake it. Don't Because if you fake it, you're gonna feel like an imposter, and that might be something horrible, like a horrible feeling.
Right.
So I would say, have trust in your own abilities, have confidence in your own, experiences, values, journey, etc. Because and embrace that, because people can see it, and if you can feel it, and if you can, communicate that with others in the way you talk, in the way you show up, confidence is it's what's gonna shine, and it's gonna help you, and it's gonna open doors. I cannot tell you enough, like, how many times my confidence has opened doors for me, and how when I get there, like, I'm like, I feel like I deserve to be here. I am well equipped and qualified to be here. I am providing value here. I am here to learn as well. I am here to grow. Like, it's like, you know, that's my secret.
Love it. No, I think, Gabriela, you are, that person, that friend who everyone needs to have because you're just like sharing this confidence and this energy that the more I talk to you, the more I feel confident, And I really love that because it's very important to embrace who you are. And yeah, I don't like this phrase like be yourself. We are all already ourselves, right? But just like embrace your cultural background, embrace the country
Yes,
from where you're from, embrace your past, right? Your experiences, even like any of the work experience. So this is very
exactly.
important. Why? Because of these experiences, because of who you are, right? You are that person who is today, right? So with all those like, advantages, disadvantages, all these like flows, wins, successes, beauties that you have. So everything that shaped who you are as a person today, it's your past experiences. So it's very, very important not to forget about that and embrace it and just, feel that, okay, you belong here because you're here for a
Exactly.
reason. You came to
Exactly.
Canada or US for a reason, right? Why? Because you want a better life or whatever reason you have, you moved for your family, for your husband, for your wife, right? And you are here to provide value and these countries needs people like you, right? So you belong to the right place. So yeah,
Exactly.
really love your
Yeah,
response here. So
amazing. And I would like to add something else.
yeah.
So for example, like it's about embracing your journey and your story. And as an immigrant, I honestly, I am an immigrant, you are an immigrant, and I admire immigrants so much because behind every immigrant, there is a beautiful story of resilience, of strength, of sacrifices, of a ton of things, of growth, of learning. Like I could, like there's so many things. And why not feel proud about that? Like, like I hear so many times people say, you know what, I feel so intimidated or I don't want to talk because I have an accent. I have an accent and I am just so
I
proud
have
of
an
my
accent.
accent.
And that's part of our journeys.
It's like I embrace it and I'm like, I'm so proud because you know what? I can speak English, I can speak French, I can speak Spanish. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, like, like it's because like I feel proud because that shows this is like my interest in, learning another language, getting to know about the culture, about, surrounding that language too. And all, the time and energy I have been invested in learning another language. And I feel like it makes me feel so sad, to be honest, when people tell me I don't want to talk, or I feel like, for example, I was talking to a colleague a long time ago, and she told me if I were here in this position and I had to make a presentation in Spanish, her native language, I would kill it. I would be like so like confident, and I would already be at another level, in my job. But because I'm doing it in English, I feel that I cannot do it. And then I started talking to her, and I remember what you just said. Like people need a friend like Gabriela. Yes, like she told me like I'm feeling this way, and I'm like this way, and I'm like, you know what? The fact that you're delivering this, just think like you're delivering in Spanish. That doesn't matter. Just communicate. Just
Right.
people are there. People are not gonna judge you by how you talk. And if they judge you, that's their problem, not yours. Don't take it in. Don't take it personal. Just do your best and have that confidence that your language doesn't determine you or the accent you have. Every accent, behind every accent, there's a story of a person who put in the time to learn a new language. It's not easy, to learn a language, especially for those, I admire those who have learned another language as an adult because it's so much harder. But just know that, like it's an advantage. Like you have, an additional skill that maybe other people wish they had. It's not about we're saying, oh, like you're worth more just because you speak another language. No, it's like it's not about that. It's about you should be proud of you and your accent. It just shows that you're willing to be uncomfortable with something, but then doing it anyways. And you can. I told my friend you can kill it in that presentation. Just be you. Don't think about, oh, I am I am me, but speaking in English, or me speaking in Spanish. No, you are you.
You're
And
you.
you're an amazing professional who can deliver and absolutely kill it in this presentation, and people can be amazed by how you communicate. And then I recommended other things, but at the end of the day she told me, "Oh my God, I went to that meeting with just like I am here to like to
To kill
to just
it. Yeah.
communicate." And it was
Mhm.
like a mindset shift, like, it's not a limitation. It's not a limitation. It's a gift. So look at it as a
Yes.
gift, and find the confidence within you, or with a friend like me, or like, and just go ahead and do your best.
Absolutely. No, I think we sometimes from time to time we all need this like little motivation, just a reminder, right? That it's your strength to speak like multiple languages. And like I'm an immigrant. I've been living in Canada for about 7 years, and I have an accent, but I also speak other languages, right? And for the past 7 years, do you know how many people noticed or like say something to me that I have accent and they cannot understand me? Zero people. So 7 years in the country, zero
Yes.
people really notice that, and like the only person who notices it is just me, right? Because I'm like,
Yes.
oh, I have an accent, I shouldn't do the video, I shouldn't do a
Yes.
podcast. And another thing, so how many opportunities would I miss if I was thinking about myself that,
Yes.
oh, I shouldn't do a podcast because I'm not a native speaker. I cannot like speak English, right? I cannot like host something. I cannot host events. I cannot write on LinkedIn, right? So how many opportunities would I miss? So always remember that. Do not miss these opportunities just because you have your limitations in your mind. They are just in your mind. Other people are super busy thinking about them, not about you, not about your accent.
Exactly.
So yeah, embrace it. And your accent just means that, as Gabriela, you mentioned, like that you have that so many, strength inside, that you're resilient, that you learned a new language, that you moved to another country, and it just shows a lot about your personality, who you are,
Yeah.
right? So that you made that leap. So very important.
Great, great advice. I hope everyone listening is getting motivation, from what they're hearing from this conversation. It's super valuable. I think so many people need to hear this kind of things.
Yeah.
I wish, like, back to that question that you asked before, like, what are some
Mhm.
mistakes? I think it's not a mistake, but it's something that I missed out. Like, at the beginning, if there were like platforms like this where like hearing about stories of other immigrants, I didn't do that much of that back when I like started, but I think now that with so many podcasts, with so many things online where people are sharing their stories, even on LinkedIn, if you're new to this country, like, or to whatever country, like, go out and listen to those stories, and find that motivation and that insight
Mhm.
that can help you, because it's so inspiring to learn. Like, we can learn from people, and we can resonate with pieces of their journey, and just take that as an inspiration. And I think, like, one thing that I was reading recently is about, what do you do when you see someone else succeeding? You can either feel envy about, oh, like, she got that dream job, oh, she got, she managed to get a job at that company, or she ended up moving to Canada, which was her dream. Like, you can do that, and feel like, oh, like, or you can be that person who say, like, if she did it, I can do it.
I can do
How
it
did
too.
she do it, or what was her mindset or her thinking? So every time you see other people like achieving something, you have that opportunity to either take it as an opportunity to say, oh, like,
Yeah.
like, have that abundance mindset, and say, like, if this person did it, I can do it too. Like, and when another immigrant is achieving something or getting something, no one is taking anything from you. Like, they're just showing you what's possible. So get that inspiration.
Exactly.
And I'm just so glad, Violeta, that you're doing this, because I'm sure many, many people will get motivated based on listening to the stories of every guest that you're bringing here. And I appreciate that you have invited me, but
Of course.
I'm so happy, because I know, what you're doing delivers value. People will benefit from this, and I'm just so grateful that I'm part of this too.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Gabriela. Yeah, it's very important, advice here that if you see someone who is already somewhere where you want to be, for example, like someone is already got that role for your dream company, so this is the gold moment. This is your, moment to add this person on LinkedIn, right? Reach out to them, have a conversation, ask them, some questions that will help you to get also to this place, right? So take advice from them, not just, sitting somewhere and being envy. Oh, she did that or he did that and I'm not still there, and start, just venting about like your life. So this is not the case. Your mindset should all be focused on, okay, so if she or he did that, I can do that too. So totally agree with this advice. Yeah. And I'm also super happy that, we raised this topic, we're discussing it, because like we are, humans, live people who are, this is not the advice from ChatGPT, this is our own stories, and that's why it's
Exactly.
valuable, because so I think so many people would relate to our stories and your pieces of advice, which are super, super valuable because it's your experience, it's your story, and yeah, fantastic. So regarding the, some of the core piece of advice or the most important lesson, like if you could give this like one piece of advice to an immigrant that just starting their career journey in US or Canada, so what would it be?
My advice would be know your worth and don't settle for less. Trust that you can get there.
Fantastic. Short, concise, straight to the point, know your worth and go for it. Love it.
Go for it. Go for it. Yes. Yes. You deserve everything. There's so much in this world available for everyone. And I think it's just like all you have to do is, show up in your very best version, help people along the journey while you wait to get what you want, help others. I
Yes.
think like there's so much value in when I was, building, every the steps that I was taking, like through in my journey, I was helping others. And life has beautiful ways of helping you achieve what you dream when you also are helping others achieve what they dream about. So be generous. I think that would be another piece that I would like to share with people. Be generous in the way you serve others, in the way you help others, in the way, you show up to work, you show up to wherever you go and interact with people, because life will reward you in so many ways when you authentically and without expecting anything at all, you just give something to someone. And that's a gift you're giving to that person. That's a gift you're giving to the world, and the world will take care of your needs and your dreams if you work hard to get there with confidence. Remember, like if you're
Confident.
listening here from Gabriela, think about confidence. Think about don't do it alone. Look for mentors, and know your worth, and don't settle for less, because you deserve everything that your mind and your heart desires. You deserve it, and you can get it. Like I'm just so confident
Love
in
it.
in everyone listening to here. I'm sending you all the
Yeah.
good vibes, and anyone listening, and if they heard this, like they want to connect with me, like I'm more than happy, to if I can be of service to them, if I can make an introduction, reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I would be happy to be of service, because what I'm telling you here in my words, it's not just something that I say to sound, whatever. I mean, I didn't plan to say this, but it's just like I just genuinely care about other people, and I strongly feel that we are here and we're meant to help each other out, because the journey of immigrating, the journey to grow in our careers, is not meant to be a journey that we take on our own. It's a journey where we can bring other people to help them and to receive help as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Love it. And I also loved your advice about like go to the Disneyland. Don't settle for park.
Yes, yeah.
What a positive advice. No, I really love it because like
Yeah.
it's so much truth in it, right? Like
Yes.
sometimes we just settle for like, oh, I take this free, but sometimes you need to invest in yourself, in your, mindset, mentor, coach, just to get to where you want to be, just to get your
Exactly.
dream. Yeah, so Gabriela, this has been absolutely inspiring. Thank you very much. And your journey is just a reminder for all of us that everything is possible, all your dreams coming true, right? So when you apply so many, when you apply your confidence, when you apply your energy, when you don't settle for less, when you know your worth, And yeah, this is basically our superpower. So thank you very much. And for everyone listening, connect with Gabriela on LinkedIn. She shares daily insights about the mentorship, leadership, personal growth. So connect with her there. And remember, whether you're starting in a new city, new country, or just starting a new chapter in your career, you have more strengths and value than you ever imagined. So yeah, thank you so much, Gabriela.
Thank you, Valera, and thank you to everyone listening. I'm glad that you stayed until the very end, and I hope you go out there and be a be a dreamer, be a doer, and make your dreams come true because you can do it.
You can do it for sure. Thank you guys. Until the next time, keep building career that's unapologetically yours.